we're unhappy when we don't want to do what we are doing. So I'm on this mission to make sure that this truth is permeated to as many people as possible.
And what is this truth?
So the truth is that I got out of college and I set up my first company, and that was one of the first social media agencies in India. And I took this risk and it paid off. So, we had our first customer was a large cosmetics company, and then Maybelline also owns Garnier. After that, because two big brands, and then Cadbury's called saying, okay, the rest was history. What does meditation really do? It is the most efficient, smartest and effective way to build muscle in our brains. Only 2.5% of the world's population has a meditation practice. 0.5% of the world has a regular meditation practice. Within 1 week of regular meditation, you can start seeing reduced signs of stress. Within 2 weeks, increased focus. With 2 years, increased cognitive speeds and learnability.
Wow.
The one secret is
Harshil.
Shivani.
Welcome to Mumbai's Millennial Mind.
Thank you.
You are the reason I'm able to do any of this. Without you, I wouldn't have been able to do it at all.
You're being very humble.
No, seriously.
So many people wanted to speak to you here, and when I said, look, we've heard of her. She speaks about mental health. She speaks so well. So lots of people were so excited to hear you.
No, but seriously,
so it's all you.
No,
I helped a little bit on the side. You can credit me for that. Like
okay, let me just tell you what he helped me with. Yeah, helped me with this entire camera crew. You helped me with 75% of my guests. It's probably going to be more now because you're getting me more. Without you, I wouldn't have been able to do it. So thank you so much.
So that's the reason I'm here now on this.
You were going to be on here in London, but we didn't get my studio in situation. But anyway, so nice to have you here. Very excited to talk about your journey because everyone speaks so highly of you. So for people who don't know who you are, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so what I do is right now I'm running 2 companies. One is a large independent advertising agency, plus. We do advertising, tech, production. Yeah. We manage talent. We do a bit of IT. So we're a total of about, give or take, 1,500 of us between Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, some of us in London and some of us in Amsterdam. So that's a little bit of who we are. That's the first company. And the second company is a company called, so the first one's called Shebang. Yeah. And the second one is called Level Supermind. And Level Supermind is a meditation app, meditation first app. And we do sleep, we do mind muscle workouts, we do journaling and affirmation, much like your planner.
Yes.
In a digital format. So that's what we do, and we've just launched in September, and we are racing now. We're close to 300,000 users, lots of people liking what we do. We're constantly improving. So that's the second company that I run. So that's the 2 things that I do. And I started my career at the age of 20 with my first company. Okay.
Were you born in Mumbai?
I was born in Mumbai, yeah. Okay. So right out of college, we are at the Taj Hotel, and this area is where I studied.
Really?
So my college is about a 15-minute walk away, 12 to 15-minute walk away. And so I got out of college and I set up my first company because the salary I was being offered was too low. So I said, what's my opportunity cost? And I just jumped into it. And that was the first, one of the first social media agencies in India. So I set that up. It grew to be the first large format social media agency in the country, and then I folded my cards on that one, and I set up Shebang.
How did that happen? Because I don't know about you, but I don't come from a background where I could just say, okay, I've come out of college, and you know what, the salary is too low, so I'm going to set up a social media agency, which is not really the norm at that time, I presume, right? You said it was the first one.
Yeah.
First of all, how did that idea come to you? And secondly, how did you tell your parents?
Okay, so I'll take the second one. The second one was quite easy.
Really?
Because, let's put a bit of context here, right? So if you graduate in London, low starting salary is, let's say, £22,000 per annum. Low.
Average is about, I would say, 30.
30,000.
And
correct.
high is 50.
Exactly. So let's translate that to Indian rupees. It's 50 lakh, 30 lakh, 22 lakh. My starting salary at the time was 160 pounds a month.
No way.
So that's what I was being offered. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with India, right? So it's a very large competitive labor market. That's our strength. That's our opportunity. That's also, typically at the start, that's how the labor market works, is that typically at the start you have a lot of people being hired, and then if you're really good, you get promoted really fast.
Right.
So you'll see people in India actually then start making more than people in the UK by year 6 or 7, because the responsibility that they have far outweighs, all of the opportunity and the business that they're serving. So it was a bit like that. So I said that, what's my opportunity cost? I don't need to really run my house. I fortunately come from a place of privilege.
Yes.
So I'm okay with, kind of accepting that I'm not like, I'm fortunate, and it's touch wood that I don't have to fight like many of the people in this country to, put food on the plate of their family. So I'm fortunate about that. I'm grateful about, I'm fortunate for that. I'm grateful for that. But I also know where I'm at.
Yeah.
So then I knew that I could take this risk, and I took this risk, and it paid off. So, we had our first customer was a large cosmetics company, Maybelline, New York. They gave us the opportunity to try 3 months with them. And I delivered to them 6x the return of their previous agency. So they said, okay, look, we're going to sign an annual contract with you now. And then Maybelline also owns Garnier. So Garnier said, okay, look, we'll also do a contract with you. And then soon came after that, because 2 big brands, and then Cadbury's called saying, okay, we don't mind having a meeting with you. And then we got the Cadbury brand Bourneville, and then Cadbury Silk, and then Cadbury Bournvita. And we did this massive campaign to bring the Bournvita quiz contest back on television. And then the rest was history, because then you just made sure that, because once you're in that league where you're serving large companies, then you have a stamp of credibility and trust. And then that's what happened, and then that's where that took off.
So what did you study in school when you came out of university?
Yeah, so I studied, up till the 10th we have the Indian curriculum, the ICSE. 11th and 12th I was in the first IB school in the city, or the second IB school in the city, the International Baccalaureate. This was the Dhirubhai Ambani school. That's where I know Ranveer from. So that's where, he's 5 years younger than me. But, like we were like big bro, little bro kind of vibe. So I studied through that, and then I studied in Mumbai, University of Mumbai, mass media.
Mass media.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, so you studied mass media. That's why when you came out, you knew that you wanted to do something.
No, I was already doing 3 internships in college. So my first internship was in an advertising agency, Dentsu Advertising, the Japanese company. Then I was working on a project to make all of Mumbai city wireless. So I was calling up, that's when I set up my first Facebook group, and I said, like, the Facebook group was called I Want All of Mumbai to Have Wireless Internet. So lots of people joined that, and then basically I was collecting leads from there to ask people saying, hey, if you want wireless internet, then then you have to allow me to put a box on top of your building. So because then I could create a WiMAX mesh. So I was working with this company where I was assigned the task of putting boxes on people's buildings. So when I was doing that, I realized that, okay, this is how powerful social media could be, because you could just build a Facebook group, and then suddenly that, it's way cheaper than classified advertising, way cheaper than putting like a traditional print ad. And people were excited because they were excited about the idea of making the whole city wireless. And then I got a lot of buildings to put those WiMAX boxes on them. And then obviously the people who facilitated that got free internet for the year. And in my 3rd year, I was writing for a blog. So I used to write 6 or 7 articles every day, almost like the TechCrunch equivalent of India, called What Blog at the time. So I would wake up, see, okay, this is what Facebook is doing with the Facebook ads product. This is what, Orkut is launching. This is how Google is doing, their social strategy. And I would write a lot about that. And that's when I started to go also, because I was like a, almost like a journalist. So I started to go to tech conferences, and I started seeing this wave of, the Mintras and the Flipkarts of the world. That's when I started meeting their founders for the first few times, those conferences started coming together. And then I got the opportunity to see how this space is evolving, and I said, hey, hold on, there's the first internship of advertising. There's this tech space evolving. I already saw social media was powerful, so how can I connect the dots between the three? And that's when I started the first company.
And you were doing all of that while studying?
Yeah.
So tell me the secret pill or something
study
you
was,
take.
like we had college from 7 till about 12.
Okay.
So I would finish college.
Yeah.
And basically then you have the whole day free.
Got it.
So then you can spend time doing that. It's much like you do your podcast in the day and then hang out with your cousins in the evening. So it's there's no secret pill. It's just, making the most of your time.
Of course. But, you say you come from a place of privilege. How do you keep so motivated then to do all of these things? Because it's not easy to manage all those three things and manage college and then think of an idea and be 20 and manage everything else. How did you have the motivation?
So, when I say privilege, it's not like, I had everything in the world.
Yes.
But, if I go back and I can reflect back on then versus now, what I mean by privilege is that I didn't need to run my house.
Yes.
And in India, that's a privilege.
Yes. Same
So
in
it's, it's not like, you have all the luxuries in the world and then you don't have, you don't have to do anything for it. So I obviously wanted to prove myself. I needed to make a mark. Right. There are these different moments where you get signals, much like your journey where you decided to leave what you were doing to do this.
Yes.
So you get signals saying, hey, I'm good at this. So in a way, that's what happened to me, which is that in university, I got a signal that I could be good at this stuff, which is this media stuff and organizing people together and really doing communication well. I knew that I had three skills. I had the ability to put people together, because I started seeing that when I started putting groups together and I was able to tell them with clarity what to do, they resonated. So I noticed that my strength is clarity. I noticed that my strength is the ability to put people together. Coming with this clarity comes the ability to put a message very clearly. So that I saw as a strength as well. And then I saw that I had this drive and determination to just want to do.
Yes.
So I said, let me just put all of this together and deploy myself. And that was the start.
Right.
Now the motivation is slightly different because I'm a bit older now. So I'm not 20 years old, I'm 35 years old. Yeah. I've been doing this for 15 years. And now the motivation is at a very base level. How can I use every action to turn myself into an instrument to serve without worrying about the outcome? That's the first thing. And, so that's at a very core level. And then at a very focused, material level, I know that the two opportunities that I sit on are large global opportunities, because in my services business, in marketing and technology, we have a large French company, Publicis. We have a large French company, Havas. We have a Japanese company, Dentsu. We have another Japanese company, Hakuhodo. We have WPP, which is British origin. We have Omnicom, which is American. There is no major global Indian player in this space of marketing and technology services. So that's what we are working to be. And that goal is way bigger than myself.
Of course.
So I think that's really driving me. And in the meditation business, and I call it a business because I look at it that way as well. Of course, I come from the fundamental philosophy to serve through that work. But I know that only 2.5% of the world's population has a meditation practice. 0.5% of the world has a regular meditation practice. So I see us almost like Nike was in the 1960s, where running was just an athlete sport, just an Olympic sport. So how can we turn meditation to be ubiquitous? Because it is the most efficient, smartest and effective way to build muscle in our brains. And most people don't seem to get that, because either there is it's difficult, there's a preconceived notion to kind of really sit down and still yourself. In India, we have this notion that it's religious or spiritual.
Correct.
So that's why people get kind of moved away from it.
Yes.
But the truth is far from that. So I'm on this mission to make sure that this truth is permeated to as many people as possible.
And what is this truth?
So the truth is that it is the most effective way to build muscle around your brain.
Okay.
Within 1 week of regular meditation, you can start seeing reduced signs of stress. Within 2 weeks of consistent meditation, you can start seeing increased focus. With 2 years of regular meditation, what you start seeing is increased cognitive speeds and learnability. And 5 years of regular meditation practice, you start altering traits in yourself. You start expanding, way more.
Okay.
So, and these are all peer-reviewed, different papers across strapping EEG headsets on people's heads, seeing the states of their brain, seeing the states of their focus, their speed of thinking, their resistance to stress. So I think that if, there's this new world that we're entering into, which is, this world of so many infinite possibilities. There's the world of AI,
yes,
which is, making life easier in so many ways. And you have the human being who has to also level up as technology levels up.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a rebooting of our own OS, our own brain's OS. And if this practice of stilling yourself can build this muscle around you,
right,
then there's a lot of the neuroscience around that, and we can go into that more.
Yeah.
But that is really, in a nutshell, the opportunity.
It's fascinating because I think meditation in the last few years has been really popularized, and I find it very difficult to meditate, as I'm sure you're going to tell me. It's good. I know everyone tells me it's like the best thing in the whole world.
Yeah.
My hesitation is always the anxiety of having to sit there in silence, and so I generally pray, and I see that as my meditation. But I don't know if I'm doing it correctly, because I think there's this preconceived notion that you need to sit in silence, close your eyes, chant Om, and then you'll feel okay. Tell me a little bit about that.
So there's actually 3 streams of meditation. What you touched upon is one stream, which is the chanting based meditation.
Yes.
So you've got mindfulness, which is more around the breath.
Okay.
And then you can have guided mindfulness.
Yes.
Then you can have mantra based meditation, which is the chanting. And by the way, chanting can go across religions.
Correct.
So, you could be chanting Om if you believe in Hinduism, you could be chanting Al if you believe in Islam, and likewise.
Yeah.
And then there's the third stream of meditation, which is around visualization. So visualization, breath work, and chanting, those are the 3 main streams. Within breath work, you could also have a subset where you don't focus on your breath, but you focus on your heartbeat. So what we're trying to do is basically simplify that,
Right.
to make that more accessible.
Got it.
As we started speaking to more and more consumers, everything everything that you're echoing is what we heard, saying, hey, I have 2 challenges.
Yes.
One is, how do I start?
Yeah.
And how do I sustain?
Correct.
So what we started doing is we started building, on the app, we've got an amazing 21-day series, which is just 5 minutes every day.
Okay.
So you start with 5 minutes of 21 days to help build a habit.
Got it.
Because 21 days is what it takes to form a new habit. So 21 days of 5 minutes. Then we've got an introduction to meditation series, which is about 7 days, which is guided by my co-founder Ranveer.
Yes.
So he does it in Hindi, English. I know a lot of your listeners are in India, but also outside India.
Exactly.
But we are focusing now to make sure that we have meditation available in every language. So we have Hindi, Marathi, Gujarati, Tamil, Kannada, Telugu. So the introduction series and the 21-day series is in all languages. We want to make sure that it's easy for people to start. So we're dealing it like we're kind of dealing with it like a tool. So how can people really get skilled into it, and how can people really begin their journey? So they've got the intro series, and then you can go deeper with a focus series. So we've got many pathways that you can take once you've started.
And why is this different from something like Calm or Headspace?
So we are at this point, two major differences. One is that we see ourselves as, from where I started, there's many schools of meditation.
Yes.
We're bringing all of them to make sure that people find their right fit. So that's one thing, because we don't, I love the work that Headspace does, I love the work that Calm does, but they're more primarily around the mindfulness and visualization.
Correct.
And Headspace is more mindfulness, Calm is more visualization. We're kind of bringing all three. We think that sitting and being born out of India is the biggest opportunity that we have, because we have so many guides and practitioners sitting in this country. So we're taking the best of that age-old science, we're testing it with neuroscience, and we're putting it together to make sure that people find their best fit of style of meditation. Like you just said that, I don't really resonate with just chanting Om.
Yes.
Now, can I find you something else? So that's what we're focusing on.
Got it.
And also to your point of chanting or not chanting Om, in the West, my interactions with people in the West have been that, I don't want to just chant something blindly.
Correct.
I need to understand the meaning of it.
Yes.
So, in your Mumbai series, you had Gauranga Das here yesterday. So I'm just going to put a reference to his school, Hare Krishna.
Yes.
So if you understand the meaning of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, chances are you will connect with the mantra more.
Yes.
So what we're putting on the app now is a guided introduction to mantra meditation, to a specific mantra, which you can then adopt. So let's take the example of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. The Hare, when you chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. There are two meanings for this. Meaning one is that, you're churning inside of you all the curd, because Krishna loves the curd. You're churning the curd inside of you to bring it to the top. And you're saying, come Krishna, have my curd.
Yes.
So I'm churning, inside of me, I'm reflecting inside of me, I'm looking inside of me, I'm bringing all my impurities to the top and saying, come and take it away. The other meaning of it is also, come Krishna to me, Hare, come to me and come inside of me and act through me.
Yes.
So that's the second day. So like that we have 5 days of introduction to the mantra, such that you then start connecting with the mantra, because then you're not just blindly chanting something. Then every time you're chanting the mantra, you're actually imbibing those qualities.
That is so powerful. When we were younger, my mum used to make us say the Gayatri mantra first, and then the Hanuman Chalisa every day on the way to school. And as kids, as teenagers, my brother and I were like, why are you making us do this? We don't want to do it. But we never understood the meaning behind it. And as we've gotten older, when you go and you read up books and stuff, and with the internet, you can very quickly find out the meanings of these prayers.
Yeah.
And it automatically makes you feel so much more connected.
Absolutely.
And a lot more present as well when you're praying. And when you're more present and you're more connected, you are calmer and you naturally go into that meditative state.
Yeah.
So even if you don't believe that you're like meditating in that moment, you probably are, because you're so deeply connected when you understand something.
Yeah.
So I love that. That's really rare. I've never heard of that before.
There's two parts to it. So there's one is you can read it, and then when you are eyes closed and only focusing on channeling it, the power is a little different.
So true.
Also, mantras are, because they've been chanted over the years, they kind of come with their own sort of energy, because they've been passed on from generation to generation for close to 1,000 years.
Yeah.
So you're then connecting and you're building your interconnectedness with all of these generations, in a, not in a physical sort of way, but, just as energy as it's translating. So, I think that's what we're doing differently.
Yeah.
We are, and also with our mindfulness meditation, we have, again, we derive a lot from the Vipassana school, and we derive a lot from, the Buddhist way. The Vipassana and the Buddhist way are quite kind of similar. So we have good mentors from both of these schools, where we derive the way to deliver mindfulness meditation. So again, I'll give you an example of mindfulness meditation that, and then we're kind of modernizing it, making it more Gen Z. So it's so I give you this example in mindfulness meditation. So normally mindfulness meditation asks you to sit and watch your thoughts, and as they go, you bring them back to the center. So that's the base, that's the core base of all mindfulness meditation. Okay. So I sat down with this Rinpoche from Ladakh, Palga Rinpoche, and he had come down and he told us basically mindfulness meditation is just like you know your thoughts are going, and then you have kind of like a rope and you bring it to the center. Yeah. And then your thoughts will go again, then you bring it to the center. Okay. And then again you bring it to the center. So what it's basically doing is that, you know, the span of variance over time as you practice this more skillfully, like if you run more every day, you know, you'll be running 4 and then 5 and then 6 and then 8 kilometers. Yes. So it's a bit like your mind is a bit like that, which is that if you skillfully start to reduce the variance of your thoughts, then you will be in the center. Yeah. So that's the core of mindfulness meditation. Now within our focus series, what we've done is that, you know, we use different tools. So for example, one way to hack your brain to be able to catch a thought which is straying is to make sure that when you're in the state of meditation, smile the moment you catch a thought straying, because you're actually rewarding your brain then by smiling that, hey, I got you, I got this thought, and the smile is a positive affirmation to yourself that you caught a thought which is straying, and then you bring it back to the center, and then it strays and you smile again and you bring it back to the center, and it goes and you smile again, you bring it back to the center. So effectively this whole meditation that you do, because every time you smile you're also opening up your heart and you're stilling your mind. So we're trying to make sure that we bring a lot of this wisdom into a more neuro-hacky way of, you know, living. Because that's the world we live in today. So I think that is a bit of, you know, our differentiation in terms of what we're bringing versus a calm or versus a headspace. I love the work they're doing. It's very inspiring, but I think we've got also really big work to do. And, you know, like I said at the start, it's 0.5% of the world's population that has a regular meditation practice. So today where I'm at right now is I just want to encourage people to do it, whether they do it on Calm, whether they do it on Level Supermind, whether they do it on Headspace. Doesn't matter. Just do it.
A lot of people at the moment are feeling unhappy and anxious and stressed. I think especially with so much going on and with so much comparison culture we have these days. How can meditation really help that? Okay.
So I think it's important to not put all the eggs in the meditation basket. But I will try to explain, you know, the meditation benefit from a neuroscience perspective. But I want to preface that with saying that it's not just meditation. It's a combination of your workout, your meditation, you know, the journaling that you do, the way you speak to yourself. So it's all interrelated. But from a, you know, if you just break down happiness, we're unhappy when we don't want to do what we are doing. Correct. Basically. So what does meditation really do? You know, this part which in meditation we call the third eye, you know, in the spiritual world is called the third eye, is actually the seat of the prefrontal cortex of the brain. Now the prefrontal cortex of the brain is responsible for our character, who we are, our intuition, our decision making. You know, it's like really it's, you know, there's the animalistic brain, which is the back, you know, which is responsible for all the stress that we face, flight or fight, and, you know, all of that stuff. And this is the most modern part of our brain. It's the modern man's brain. Okay. So this prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for all of these things, is then connected to, you know, what in meditation is also called the crown chakra, but the seat of the central lobe of the brain. Okay. Which is then connected through our spine to our ears, our eyes, our mouth, our hands. Okay. So what we often call an integrated person is somebody who's basically more connected to who they are and how they act. Correct. So what meditation is doing is it's increasing the connectivity between the prefrontal cortex and, you know, the central lobe which controls the actions. So you therefore are, or you therefore do what you are. And if you're doing more of what you are, then you're likely to be happier. So true. So that's the base of it. Then there is, the fact that it builds muscle around the amygdala, or, that it reduces the introduction of cortisol, which is the stress hormone, as a result of that. So again, what happens is that your instinctive actions, you think through a bit more. So let's say that, why do you get unhappy when you binge eat on food?
Yes.
So what's happening is that with this regulation of the amygdala, if you see food, suddenly all of a sudden, you got, hey, hold on 1 second, you got a prefrontal cortex saying, hey, I'm responsible for decision making. Actually, let's do what we've set ourselves to do. And then that's why I'm happier. And of course, you got to feed your prefrontal cortex and your ability to create decision making with the right kind of journaling and thoughts.
Yes.
So you have to be able to write down your goals. You have to be able to write down what you're grateful for, because again, then you're feeding your brain with the signals. When you write down actually what you're grateful for, what you're actually telling your brain is, I want to see more of this.
Correct.
It's not just gratitude. Most people think of gratitude as, hey, it's this floozy thing.
Yeah, I'm so grateful for my coffee this morning, yeah.
Yeah, but it's actually you're programming your brain to see more of that in your life.
So true.
So that is, then that is coming here. And then the integration between this and this, that's this infinite loop that meditation basically creates.
When you say you should become who you are, Gauranga Das said this to me yesterday, and I don't know why, I really loved it when he said that, because whoever you want to be, that's who you should embody.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people that were listening and watching this and saying, well, how do I find out who I am?
So, firstly, I love Gauranga Das, and I love the way he speaks and
his analogies.
And his analogies.
Yeah.
And he's such a giant of a human being inside him, that it's really quite inspiring to, every time he speaks. In the Bhagavad Gita, you have the concept of Swadharma, which is a lot like the famous Japanese concept of Ikigai.
Yeah.
So Swadharma is basically my dharma, Swadharma, which is being able to look at myself as a unique instrument in this larger instrument of the world, to be able to serve the world. And then if everybody is playing their own unique instrument, this musical rhythm is this fantastic, beautiful musical rhythm that starts to play. So I think knowing your purpose comes first from knowing yourself. Because if you don't know yourself, you won't be able to find your purpose. And the other way to know your purpose is to know life. And know all the opportunities. Coming back to our conversation so far, knowing that I come from privilege, knowing that I come in an environment where social media is mushrooming, knowing that my own skills are the ability to organize, be clear with messaging, etc. So I always look at meditation as like this pathway, and it's almost like this pathway, and on one side is the room of life, and one side is the room of self. And what meditation allows you to do is know yourself, and then come back to the pathway, and then know life, and then come back to the pathway, and then you keep moving forward. And then as you keep moving forward, yourself unravels and life unravels. And you see basically different rooms of self and different rooms of life. And then that's how you start to discover that, look, actually, this is who I am.
Yes. And reflection.
And reflection,
right?
yeah.
How you're describing it is you're reflecting the whole time, and we don't give ourselves enough time for reflection. So, in the planner every day, it's what did I do well, or what did I enjoy?
Yeah.
And what could be better tomorrow? What didn't I enjoy?
Yeah.
So you're figuring those things out along the way. I think we all just expect to wake up one day and say, yes, this is my purpose. And it's one thing.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, it takes a lot of time, and you have to try so many different things. But you're so right. I think sitting still, being alone, meditating in whatever way you see fit out of those three categories can really help to unravel your purpose and yourself.
Yeah, yeah. And the other thing I think it's important to also note is, and I faced this towards the end of last year. I'm speaking like I've got it figured out, but I faced this towards the end of last year where I was back in a bit of a slump. And then the advice I got was that, look at change as small steps every day. To your point about it's not like, hey, I wake up one morning and I've got it figured out. But it's like the small little steps every day. So if you're going to work out, start with 10 minutes and then increase it to 12 and then 15 and then 20. Same with your meditation. And that's why we say 5 minutes and then go up to 12 minutes and then go up to 15 minutes and then go higher. So that is very, very important, I think, from, the whole scheme of things.
Talking around hacking your brain, it's a very hot topic at the moment on how to hack your thoughts. And you've mentioned one thing about the rope.
Yeah.
Tell me what else the app offers in terms of, or any practice that you've used when you wake up one day and you're feeling really low.
Yeah, so I love listening to Andrew Huberman.
Okay.
And he's done a lot of work around hacking the brain. So the first thing he recommends usually is to get good sleep. And we've got on the app, we've got a great sleep product.
Okay.
So again, coming to, what Calm does with sleep stories, we've got our own version of it. It's more Yog Nidra inspired. And just to explain a bit about Yog Nidra is that, you go straight to the state of deep sleep through a Yog Nidra practice. So you skip the state in between. So the REM sleep, you skip and go straight to deep sleep. So that's typically what happens with a Yog Nidra practice. Okay. And so we've got a lot of Yog Nidra inspired sleep wisdom. Okay. And the way Calm does it, it's telling you a story. The way we're doing it is we're feeding your brain with wisdom as you go to sleep.
But doesn't that keep you awake?
When it's done in a very soothing way.
Oh, wow. I love listening to a podcast before I go to sleep, but the problem is I get too excited and then when I write down ideas and then I never sleep. So that sounds amazing.
Exactly. So I think we've kind of like hacked a bit of that, how to get to the deep sleep state. Again, taking from the ancient, adapting it for the modern.
Got it.
So that's one thing, that's good sleep is one thing. The second thing that Dr. Huberman recommends is usually getting sunlight in your eyes the moment you wake up. So that activates the serotonin in your brain, which is an instant mood uplifter.
Yes.
So not through sunglasses, not through the window, but really just in the midst of nature, and then walking on grass, kind of like sunlight, soak it in. Even if you don't have glass, you have concrete, but it's still sunlight soaking in. And then there is what I usually try to hack my brain with is, this whole gratitude practice is very, very important for me. And like I said, it's really helped me make sure that I see more of that in my life. So tomorrow, my gratitude practice is going to be that, oh my God, I got the opportunity to sit down with Shivani and do this. And that was amazing. And we had, we've been speaking on WhatsApp, but finally we have some sort of a relationship now. So I'm grateful for that. So, I will find more of that now in my life. It's already going to be activated. And then there is immediately, so what I try to do is there's gratitude, and after gratitude comes prioritization. So, and I needed to start doing that because once I started managing 2 companies, it was very, very chaotic. So I started noticing that every time I do prioritization and say that today I'm prioritizing at Shebang, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And today I'm prioritizing at level Supermind, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Every time I do that and I put it down on paper, that's yellow paper with red ink, which I've been taught by my coach Saloni Suri.
Right.
So I start doing that, and then I go into a meditation practice. So it's kind of like it's at the conscious. When I'm writing it, and then when I meditate, it's going into my subconscious.
And you visualize.
And I don't necessarily visualize it. My practice is more a mantra-based meditation.
Got it.
On most days.
Okay.
Or mindfulness-based meditation. But what's happening is I'm not really visualizing what I wrote, but subconsciously it's going into my into my being. And then if I've done that routine, then 9 out of 10 times all of those things on those pages will be done.
Wow.
So that's the way to, at least I've seen, to hack the brain in my life.
I can't wait to give you my planner. Everything you're talking about is in there. Prioritization, gratitude, reflection, affirmations. The only thing I haven't got actually is a meditation practice. I do have a habit tracker, and one of them is empty.
Right.
So maybe for the next one, we can do one together, and we can add the meditation one in. But you know, all of these things, it seems like you're very much put together. You know, you're very calm. You're very like organized.
Thank you.
You're very focused. So tell me your morning routine.
So I prefer to wake up as early as I can. I'm not on that cycle now, but for a long time I've been on a 5 a.m. cycle.
Yeah.
So get up at 5 a.m. and that's what I'm kind of moving my body to now again. So I have 5 a.m. and it's exactly the first thing I'm doing is sitting and writing the gratitude and the prioritization and the reflection, you know, all of that stuff. So apart from prioritization, one more part of gratitude is exactly like you said, where did I fall from grace?
Yes.
So, you know, then you're reflecting on what you can improve on. So that's the morning, followed by a meditation practice, followed by a workout, which is usually for me a swim.
Okay.
And the route to my swim is a bike ride. So I'm one of the very few people in city of Mumbai who will ride a bike.
I remember the first time we spoke, we were on FaceTime and you were on a bike. Do you remember?
Yeah. So and I just feel like it's a great way to get around this city. Lots of people tell me, hey, it's so polluted and blah blah blah, but you know, I just love it. And then after I'm done with the swim, I'm usually in the office, typically 9:30. Before I go to the swim, I spend some time with my family.
Okay.
And then post the swim, 9:30, I'm at the office till about 9 in the night. So it's it's a 12-hour grueling shift.
Crazy. And your evening routine?
Evening is, unfortunately, it's not as...
Neither is mine.
Yeah, it's in front of the screen, or it's with teams, or it's, you know, doing these many things. I think I'm really fortunate that I have the opportunity to do so many interesting things with my life.
Yeah.
So, you know, the fact that I'm building this meditation app makes sure that I'm able to interact with people like Gauranga Das and see their journey, or like many other masters, and see and learn from them. I'm able to deal with people in the neuroscience space and seeing, you know, people who do work with that. And on the other side, I have Shebang, where I'm able to deal with filmmakers and artists and, you know, talent. And one of my proudest moments last year was that we released a 29-minute short film, which won at, actually 31-minute short film, which won at 29 international awards, film awards.
Wow.
So it was this story of a client of ours. They make pipes, they're called Phenol-X pipes. They make these pipes. It was the story of their founder. So their founder was a 14-year-old boy in 1944 coming on a train from Amritsar to then Bombay. Okay. He had his life savings in his pocket, which was a 10 rupee note. And the whole film is focused on how he loses that 10 rupee note, but then he finds it back through a combination of his intellect and his wit and his ironclad, you know, he was known for his ironclad grip on his numbers. So how he finds that back is what the film is about. Wow. And, you know, so our message in that film was, it's often who you are at a very core, young, you know, pure level, which often goes to define what you become. I mean, we didn't say it that way, but, you know, that's the way, that's what it was. So it was so much fun to make that film. Or today we have a film which is going live for biscuits company Britannia, where it's a lovely, it's a old gangster style 1 minute ad film, but it's it's not like an ad film. So and we've got some legendary actors playing some roles in that. So, you know, I mean, I get these opportunities, and I get the opportunity to learn new technology because of the different things happening in this, you know, in the country right now where I'm at. And then connecting the dots between India, UK, the Netherlands, and then hopefully more. So I think I'm honestly having the time of my life right now.
That's so nice.
And I'm
and
really
I think you can
myself.
see it. You can definitely see it, but there's going to be people listening that are going to say, okay, tell me your biggest marketing secret. Because you've obviously built these incredible companies. You're working with global brands. You've now built this huge business. What's the secret? You're like, there is no one secret.
I'm just trying to think of a very effective answer. So let me try to break down 2 or 3 things. One is, when you're pitching business, the one secret is you often win a business before you've entered the room. So it's not about what you do inside the room. It's about what you've done outside the room that helps you win a business.
Okay.
So I have this mantra which I tell my team, which is about win the pitch before the pitch.
Okay.
Because most of the time people have decided who they want to work with or who they want to interview before they've decided that they want to do it themselves. Like you called me already and said that, I want Karishma.
Yes.
So you knew it.
Yeah.
Or the moment I said Gauranga Das, you said, yes. So you knew it. It's the same thing with, at all levels, I think. Large companies have decided who they want to work with, kind of.
Got it.
Or they've decided 2 or 3 companies they want to work with, kind of. So first you got to get yourself in that consideration set. Means you have to be respectable. Means you got to have good principles. Means you got to have good references. So with Shebang, that's what we try to do. A lot of the work is around that. We've served lots of companies and we've served them well. And we have a set of guiding principles that make sure we serve them well. Like an example guiding principle that we have is our word is our bond. So when we commit something, in Hindi this is Zubaan de di.
Yeah.
So like when we commit something, we have to stick to it.
That's cool.
So that's, so it's win the pitch before the pitch, but then how to do that is set of guiding principles, good quality work, good reputation, serve the market well. So I think that's one. The second thing I can say is that if you're building a company or any kind of company, the first hire you should make is a human resources hire.
Really? Okay.
Because you can win in any business if you've got the right team with you. And who's going to get you the right team is somebody who knows how to identify people.
So true.
So that's the second thing I would say, which is this human resource is the secret to marketing success.
Okay.
And then I think the third thing is you got to be able to live a creative life. So I don't mean just be creative, but live a creative life. Because when you absorb experiences from a creative life, it often goes into your work.
So true.
So yeah, I mean, like for me, that's music. I try to write music and compose music and try to put it out. Not so many people love it, but I do it nevertheless.
Yeah.
So those kind of things, I think it's these 3 things put together that do it. And like similarly, I do a lot of work also. Another thing which you can do is if every and authentically, if every action you can look at is from how can I give the other person, how can I give to the other person, how can I give to the other person, not just for the sake of giving, but my co-founder on Level Supermind, he taught me this great tool, Ayush.
Okay.
He said to me that, like one way to increase interconnectedness between people, and let's try this right now, is that if you're listening to me speak, think of the words that are coming out of my mouth in the way you speak.
Okay, yes.
So it's actually Harshil saying these words, but now, it's a more active listening exercise. Think of it as Shivani speaking, because all of us love our own voices, that's the human truth. All of us love our own voices. And then if you hear me speaking as you speaking, you're going to follow more active listening. What that's doing over time is increasing interconnectedness. And then we're all in this together, right? I mean, effectively, we're all in this together. And then authentically look at every opportunity as an opportunity. How can I serve this person?
I love that.
So then that kind of, I think then that comes together.
I think you and I are more connected because you've got a digital product. I've got a in-person product, and it's so the same. It's actually crazy. So I'm really looking forward to talking to you more about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. With my planner, tell me 5 ways on how. No, I'm joking. Tell me how you would sell this though.
How I would sell this?
Because I'm rubbish at marketing.
I think you're doing a great job already. No, because actually the podcast is a service for the planner.
Correct.
In a way.
Yeah.
So you don't expect anything from your listeners for the podcast, and then you're building trust, you're building credibility.
Yeah.
You're nourishing minds, and then over time you're saying, look, this is where the planner seamlessly fits into all of this that's being spoken about.
Yeah.
So I just want to wish you like more and more success with what you're doing in this, and yeah, I mean, you already, I see the comments, and so many people are so deeply affected by what you do. So I just hope that more and more people get more deeply affected and, you know, are able to resonate with all your work.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. I really have enjoyed speaking to you today to understand all these different things that you're doing. But just, I have one final question for you. When you're doing some kind of marketing in terms of like the social media side, a lot of people at the moment expect to see instant results. And when they don't, they say influencer marketing is dead. Do you think influencer marketing is dead, or it's just on the rise?
I think that at this point it's on the rise. And there's a very logical reason why I say this, is because if you look at marketing from the point of view of reach and distribution, earlier I would spend money on a television ad because it puts me in front of more people, reach and distribution. Today that reach and distribution is on digital platforms, on an Instagram ad, but it's also on the creators who create on Instagram.
Yes.
So you could choose to buy reach and influence on an ad, or you could choose to buy reach and influence via a person who people listen to. And then I think it's the responsibility of that person to make sure that they find, you know, deals which are so aligned to them.
Correct.
So then the audience also has a win-win. So I think, you know, it comes back to that point of Gauranga Das, which is that, you know, find your core or your purpose or your way. And I think that's the way influencer marketing also works. So it's about connecting the right brands to the right influencers, and then making sure that message is streamlined and hits the right people to benefit them in the best way. So I think at this point in time, and why I say at this point in time is because the algorithms can switch.
Yes.
So if the algorithms don't switch, it's only on the rise. So I think it's a great medium to invest in. And yeah, I've seen so many people like, you know, your friend Shivani Pau.
Yeah,
she writes about how she's done this with Bliss Club, and you know, they've gone sold out. Or Masoom is writing about like what's happening at you know, what do they call it, Magic. So yeah, I think it works.
A lot of people are so skeptical about it now, and they say that, you know, it's a lot of people haven't built trust with the audience. But you've just touched on such a good point of it has to be win-win.
Yeah.
You know, the brands have to connect with your values, and then it's win-win for both of you.
Exactly.
At the moment, what we're seeing is brands are connecting with people who don't align to their values, and that's where we're seeing a lose-lose from both angles, because the influencer isn't trusted and the brand isn't trusted.
And also, I think my advice to brands would be, let the influencers say the message the way they think it relevant. You know, don't try to like, hey, you have to say this line and this word and say it this way, because the influencer knows their audience, or the creator knows their audience, and they know what their audience is going to resonate with. So if you do it that way, then it works a lot better.
So true. I really, honestly, I'm so excited now that we've connected finally properly. I know we've been talking for months, but you know, I'm so grateful that you've come on, and I'm so grateful that you've helped me do this whole season. So thank you so much.
That's nice of you to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Everyone, and thank you so much for listening and watching this podcast. Wherever you're listening or watching, if you could please press the follow, like, and subscribe button, it would really mean the world to me.